on Spotlight today, what's the outlook of the currency market? It appears bleaker following confirmations of $6 billion in debt owed by NNPC to fuel suppliers. We have Uade Ahime. He's here to provide more perspective to that conversation.
Hi,
Hello. Good afternoon. It's great to have you in. So, of course, let us into some of the dynamics happening with NNPC's $6 billion debt and how that could potentially affect the currencies market and how much pressure is going to put on the currency market.
I don't know how much pressure is going to put on the currency market immediately, but the fact remains that you have debtors, $6 billion in totality from the purchase of PMS,
yes.
Or the importation of PMS, which hasn't been paid. Original agreements were about 90 days, but some of them have run much longer than 90 days. This has been in the wind for maybe the last 3-4 months, but I guess now there's really nothing that can be done, considering the fact that at the end of when they released their results, they wrote to the federal government that they needed their dividend to use to offset some of this. So I guess part of the dividends that are supposed to go to the federal government would be used to offset that $6 billion. I think it was about $3.3 billion or 3.3 trillion naira, like they said. So when you convert it at about, I don't know what the exchange rate will be.
So you think they have the capacity to settle that debt and perhaps not as much pressure
on maybe
the currency
not
markets?
Full capacity, but they will be able to settle part of it because part of the interim dividend and final dividends that are supposed to go to the federal government have been approved towards settling that debt. So I guess they brought it out into public so that everybody is aware that there is a debt and potential reasons for petrol scarcity.
So there will be reactions, obviously, but we're also aware that, well, now it's 24. In the next 24 hours, Dangote's PMS will be hitting the markets. What potential effect will that have on the currency markets going forward as well?
Well, it should free up a bit more of foreign currency for buying crude by Dangote. I don't know how much of it is going to free up, but it should free up at least a sizable amount. Maybe, I don't know in which range, maybe about 5-10%, depending.
5-10%.
So that should boost the market as a whole. But the question also, how does it impact the Naira? Because nobody is telling us what the exchange rate is that you're selling to Dangote in Naira because crude is priced in dollar, not in Naira.
That's another
that's the question for me that regulators and the federal government and the NNPC needs to tell us so that we have a clear idea. Yes, if it starts to pump PMS into the market, they're saying it will start with about 25 million liters per day, which is...
Doesn't quite meet our demand, does it?
It doesn't meet the full demand because the local demand locally every day is about, from what the NNPC says, that data really is inconsistent.
Transparency.
But it has come to between 32 million per day. And Dangote is saying that by October, it should be able to push out 30 million liters every day. That will be substantial. It should drive the prices a bit lower because now you're taking Naira and you're paying in Naira. So that should be...
I mean, we'll see how that pans out. Finally, the talks of, obviously, Fed rate cuts later this month, not as hawkish as some analysts expected. Traders are, saying that perhaps it would just be 0.25% when it comes to rate cuts. I remember you earlier on the show, high hopes with regards to how this will affect emerging markets. Are you going to review, some of your outlooks?
So if we get 100 basis points, then that will be massive.
But how likely is that?
But I don't know how likely is that. And let's also remember that how many days to the election in America? So you need to be careful. Inflation hasn't gotten to the point where they want it, below the 2% mark. So that's what you're going to continually try and push. So if you're going to be, I think they'll be a bit bearish in terms of the rates. So maybe 25 basis points. If they get to 50, that would be...
So any chance of a weaker dollar that will help, our currency here?
Once the rates, I think, do go down, are you with me? Yeah, so it would free up some dollar, but not substantial enough to make that impact that we're expecting. But there will still be some some currencies flowing in, but it'll just be targeted at specific areas and projects.
I mean, we'll continue to track what happens in the currency markets. Thank you so much, Uade Ahime, the Head of Strategy and Public Affairs with Nairametrics. Great to have you again.
Thank you, Joanna, for always having me.